Okay, ladies and gentlemen, members in Prague and members all over the world. That's with live streaming, so even my wife is looking now. So before we go on with our program, first of all, I would like to attend you or give your attention to, you see I have a wonderful blue tie. It's a collector's item, I must tell you. And now I will not make the same mistake as in Amsterdam. It's good quality, traditional good quality. And that also counts for the scarves. So they were available already last year. We still have some probably this year, but we're almost selling out. But before we had this made, we had, because we went to ISGC to IJOC, we had to invent or create a new logo. And if you want for me to create a logo, it's not being very creative. But we have some members, and we have a member who created this new logo for us. Courtney, would you please come up? So you made this wonderful logo, which is the basis for the scarves and the ties. And you were not there in Amsterdam to witness the success, but you're now here. So I think at the end of our event we will be sold out, so we have to order again. But I would like to thank you and give you one of the scarves. Thank you, with your own design. There is no remark on the design, I hope. Thank you. Then I don't know who is trying to invite me to his hotel room, but this is Enos, Hotel Enos, room number 307. Oh, okay. Ivan.
Thank you very much.
So we managed that also. And then we can go on with the more serious part of this afternoon. There will be a question and answer session, and we invited the people to give the answers to all our questions that we have. Very thankful that you can come here, Stefan, as chair of the jumping committee. Francis, thank you very much. John, and of course Frank Spardinger, FEI Director on Education and Officials. That's correct, Frank? Yes. Completely. Okay, thank you. Before we will have questions and answers because we like to have an interactive program. So not just cases, but you can ask questions. And the first part of this session, you will have the ability to ask questions about the mock exams. And the exams, the questions in the exams. And probably the second part we will go more into the philosophy of the CES assessments. Before we do that, we have here an attendance list. And on this attendance list, you could have been indicated, you could have given an indication, look for my English, if you want to do the assessment in Prague for the in-person refresher. Please check this. If it's right, because we have to know the number of people who are doing the exam tomorrow. So this will be distributed, and please sign off if you're here in the room. Yes? Then I would like to give the word to Stefan to start with the question and answer session.
Thank you. Thank you, Willem, and I'm calling you Willem and not Mr. President because the good thing today is that this is a little bit the unofficial part of it. So I skipped the part of welcoming you all on behalf and so on and so on and so on. It's just a little private meeting we are doing here, the pre-refresher in Willem Luyten's living room. And It's good that there is space enough, and on a serious note, I'm really overwhelmed that in the meantime, even for the pre-refresher, so many people are attending. Because as you know, tomorrow we will have the refresher course, which is a big change, because till last year we had refresher seminars, a seminar and a course. The difference was at seminars you do not do tests, and as you are all aware, now we do tests, so from now on we do refresher courses. But still we will call it seminars from time to time, and maybe we collect money for that every time somebody says seminar instead of course. Let's see. When we were planning the program of today, we were still thinking about doing case studies, because we know that you love that, and that it's always a nice thing to do at these seminars or courses. However, in the meantime, it became a little obvious that due to the introduction of the CES, that there are a lot of questions also related to the CES as such, and even questions to the questions, and all these things. And what I found out, or what we found out in the meantime, is that there are some concerns on your side. What happens if? And interesting enough, I'm a little bit surprised that some people are somewhat pessimistic, and this is something you shouldn't be, because there were not too many questions or remarks in the direction, hey, great, that's a kind of sport, and we are all sport people, and we take that as a competition, and we just do it. Most of the feedback I got was, yeah, but what happens if I fail? So I would like to quote the FEI president, who always says in other contexts, failure is not an option. And I would like to quote the FEI president here, because to be honest, okay, tests always have the disadvantage that things can go wrong, but I have to say that at least I hope that the risk that something could go wrong is not that big. And at least to avoid that you have another sleepless night, what we would like to do, and I'm really happy that Frank Spadinger has arrived already now, because as you know, he's on the agenda for tomorrow. And tomorrow he will give you an overview about the whole education program, and also CES will play a kind of role. But at least here we have the opportunity for this group, which is not exactly the same group as we will have tomorrow, because tomorrow we expect something like 20 people more. But you take the advantage that you get already a little information. Some of that information you will hear then tomorrow for a second time, because also these people have the right to hear what this is about. But as I said, at least you get some more information, and maybe you all leave the room a little bit more optimistic than you were already before you came in. Willem said we do 2 parts. Actually, we do 3 parts, because I would like to start and give you a little bit information about what we did, talking about the questions and what you can expect, or where this is all coming from, and the philosophy behind that. And what I am telling you, first of all, applies for the judges, but as long as Francis is not pushing me, I guess more or less the same applies for the stewards, and every time Francis wants to add something, she will make a remark for the stewards, because I know that there are also stewards in the room, or people who are judges and stewards at the same time. As this whole event is not for course designers, I'm not making too many remarks on the course designers, better to say on the course designers' questions. If there are course designers, you might approach Santiago tomorrow when Santiago is here. So we concentrate on judges and on stewards here. What we want to do is, without going too much in Frank's part, which is the explanation of the system, what we want to do is we want to implement a test procedure, which can be done online, which you can do in some cases at home, and in some cases at that in-person course, what we are doing here. So let's concentrate on that in-person thing. As very first step, because we all learn, and we know that some people were not 100% happy with the procedure so far. And I know that there was information coming again and again, and then there was a change, and that there was a little bit confusion. And I have to admit that you have all the right to be somewhat confused. That's why we are trying to clarify that. The whole thing is work in progress, and we see that we get the whole thing started. Is there room for improvement? Most likely, yes. That's why we count on you, because we want to learn from your experience. The one thing was clear from the very beginning when we started that. We said we know that we start from a point zero. So whatever we do, it can't be any disadvantage for the people who take the test. So if things could go wrong, then still it can't be a disadvantage. So the first thing, for practical reasons, we said we will start with a test, and the test will be on a very low level for the first year. And then we see how that works. We are not starting with once-in-a-lifetime case studies or things which have happened to one of us at a championship. We are just putting together rule-related questions. So all the questions which are in the system now are rule-related. There is not a single question you can't answer or which you would not find in the rule book. The answers are in the rule book. If you know the rules, you are already pretty much on the safe side. That's the first thing. The second thing is, we use the same set of questions for all the officials of a category. So we have questions for judges, we have questions for stewards, and we have questions for course designers. And the questions we are asking are the same for all the levels in that category. So you can imagine that most likely the questions will be somewhat challenging for a level 1 judge. And we are aware that hopefully, the questions are pretty boring for a level 4 judge. But we have decided to use only these basic questions because we want to keep everybody alive. And we do not want that the level 1 judges can't answer them and the level 4 judges are still struggling. So the level of the questions is really pretty basic. We have prepared, different people from different sections have prepared the questions. Let me talk about the judging questions because I was somewhat responsible for that. The idea was to prepare 100 questions. And this is what we did. And the questions, and I assume you have all done the mock exams a little bit as preparation, because that would help you a lot, are somewhat in different categories. There is the one category which is true or false, yes or no. There is a statement and you just say yes or you say no, nothing else. You do not have to write anything. Yeah? That's the one category. So if you have the choice yes or no, please tick only yes or no. Don't tick yes and no. That would not really help.
It's not possible.
Yeah? Most likely, technically, this is not possible. But at that stage, it's a yes or a no, true or false, black or white. Yeah? There is a second category, and read it carefully. Read the questions very carefully. There are multiple answers, but only one is correct. And that's mentioned. So if only one answer is correct, please do not tick two answers. Because then you are sure already that you're wrong. Because if the one part is right, but the second part is wrong, Yeah, so please be very careful. Then there is a last category where more than one answer is correct. That's a little bit more tricky because you can be sure that one answer is correct. It could, let's say there are 4 options. It could be that there are 2 correct answers. It could be 3. It could be even all the answers are correct. So be a little bit careful with this. These are the more tricky questions. The other questions for your strategy, don't tick 2 boxes if only one answer is right. The next thing I would like to mention is the fact that I assume that everybody who is there tomorrow for the exam, that you practiced a little bit at home, so I do not have to explain to you what a mock exam is. So you all have gone through the mock exams and you have seen the questions.
Maybe we can ask who did the mock exams.
Okay, first question. Who is taking the test tomorrow? Just show of hands. Good. So keep the hands up. Keep the hands up because I want to see the difference now. Has anybody not prepared anything at home? So who has prepared nothing at home?
Okay, they're well prepared.
Okay. One second. Let me just finish the one thing, and then your question is... we want to avoid any surprises. You won't be surprised because you will know the questions when you did the mock exam. The questions of the mock exam are exactly the questions in the test. So there are no new questions. There are no surprises. So if you practiced at home and you did the mock exam several times, then you know the answer. Practically, there is not really a chance that you fail. If you did your homework, of course, that's your responsibility. Yeah?
One remark to the ones that have done the mock exam quite a number of times. There are very similar questions in there. Please still read the question and just don't click.
Yeah. That's very important what Frank just said. You do not have the guarantee even if you did the test 50 times, the mock test 50 times, because still you do not have the guarantee that you have seen all the questions. And some questions are pretty similar. On first view, it looks, I know the question, I know the answers. The answer was, you do not even read the answer because your brain says the first option is right and that's all. Read it very carefully because you do not know whether you have seen all the questions. I just say, just in case you have made a record of 100 questions, you can be sure that you had them all. Yeah? And some are similar, Angèle. But wait, then we have to wait for the microphone.
Okay, I have a problem with the true or false questions because some of them are partially correct, partially true, or partially false. What is the answer? True or false? For example, there is a rule, and the rule has exceptions. You are stating the rule, and you say true or false. It's partially true and partially false because the rule exists, but there are exceptions. So, is the answer true or false?
To be honest, that's a little bit difficult to answer because then you really have to show me the question because I wouldn't say that I put all my money on the fact that
there is a statement that says prize winners must take part in the prize-giving ceremony and should do so with the placed horses.
Yeah.
This is a rule, and it's a true, but it has exceptions. So the answer on the test is false. I did it, and it was my mistake.
Give me a second and... Okay. Yeah, please.
I can answer this question, and this is why you have to read exactly what the question is. There is an end. Horses must take place, and horses must take part in the prize giving, and the rule says horses may. The rule says that athletes have to take part, not exactly with their horses.
I just read the rule from the rule.
But it's, read the rule book. The sentence is different in the rules, and that's why the answer is false. This is why Stefan said, please read, confront the rules. Yeah.
Did you write down the question?
I have to see in my laptop tonight. I will
Okay, no. Then give me one for the procedure. Give me a second. Yeah. So do me one favor. I'll just try to find an answer to that question. After that, do me another favor and let me finish my introduction statement, and then we continue with specific questions. But I need now 1 second to find that. Okay, the question is, prize winners must take part in the prize giving ceremony and must do so with the placed horse. And the answer is no, because the rule is not saying that they must do it with the placed horse, they should. And for that, the answer is wrong. Simple as that. And with that, my statement that the questions are very clear is also very clear. It is what it is. Sometimes it is one word which differs from the rule and is changing that. Yeah? The rule is saying must be present and should do so with the horse. The question is saying must be present and must do it with the horse. And they do not must. Okay. Back to the concept, and then later on I'm very happy to go through some of the questions with you. We had exactly 100 questions which were judging concerned, jumping judging concerned. You can blame me for that, but maybe at least I'm not too unhappy, because in the meantime I took 2 questions out, so there are 98 left. I took 2 questions out because I did these questions pretty early, pretty late last year, but pretty early in the sense of before the General Assembly. And shortly before for the General Assembly there was a rule change, and that slipped through my net, and for that reason, one of the answers was indeed partly wrong. So, and as somebody found out that the answer was wrong, and the same happened with another question, we were informed. And to avoid any confusion, we haven't changed the answers, we have taken the questions out completely. So if you did the mock test and you were surprised that you were sure you had the right answer, but the system showed you something else, and now you said, of course, I trust my computer and the system, so I do not know why it's right, but okay, I've learned that this is the case. And if you then would see now the same question again, you would have learned the wrong answer, and to avoid that you now give the wrong answer, and then the system says, wrong again, we have just taken the questions out, so there is no risk for you. So we took 2 questions out, and nothing will happen. There are still 98 left, and I'm sure that this is enough to have a proper test. And you have to answer 50 out of 98 plus, and now the plus comes in. In addition to the jumping rules related questions, there were questions added from the legal department, the same system as I have explained, and I do not really know exactly the number of questions. I guess it must be something like 10 or Frank?
There were 10 legal and 10 veterinarian questions added, and they will be included in the 50 questions you will be asked to a certain percentage. You will not get out of those 50 questions 10 legal questions. Just we have already made a percentage, so you get 1 or 2 legal questions in these 50 questions.
Thank you, Frank. And as I said already, that works exactly as with the judging questions. Sometimes it's true or false, sometimes it's one answer is correct, sometimes it's more answers are correct. Just read them and just answer them.
Yeah, sorry. And you had them in the mock exam as well. They were already in the mock exam included.
Yeah, and once again, there will be no surprises because this will be exactly the same questions as you have to do for the mock test. And I'm just talking about myself. There are no exceptions. So I had to do that test, and you will say, haha, wonderful, you did the questions, so most likely you know the answers. Yes, I had that advantage. Yes, I had. But still, I did my 20 mock tests because I was not aware about the veterinary questions and the legal questions. So I had to do exactly the same homework, and I did it long enough till I was sure that I could answer these questions, or at least that I would know what the questions would be to avoid surprises. So I did exactly the same homework because in all the mock tests, there is always one legal question or one veterinarian question. So to get all these questions, you have to do that several times. So that's the situation. So with this knowledge, I hope that you feel that a test is always challenging, no doubt about that. And of course, if you have a bad day, of course something can happen. That's why we do tests. Otherwise, we could put the hand on your shoulder and say you are there for another year. But this is not what we are doing. So I guess if you did a little bit the homework, if you understand the system, then the risk is pretty small that something could go wrong. Some people say 80% is pretty high, but once again, I guess experience will show that it is not too high. That was more or less my introduction part. If you did the mock tests, you got immediately a feedback where you did right or wrong. However, it could be, as we had already, that Angèle asked a question. I'm very happy maybe to explain if there is anything what is still in your head that you say, okay, I saw what is right and what is wrong, but still I do not really understand why. So if there are any questions about that, then it will always take a second because I really want to make sure that I answer exactly the right question, as sometimes the wording is similar. So I have to go through my 100 questions and find exactly what you are asking. That might take a second, but if there is anything like this, I'm very happy to do that. Just for what we do then next. After we have finished that bit, Frank will tell you a few things about the procedure. Yeah, just some information how that works. Then we can do that tomorrow a little bit shorter. And after that, if there is still time left, because John Doney is already getting nervous because he wants also to answer a lot of questions, then we come to that part where we are sure that you have general judging-related questions you always wanted to ask, and I'm not going any further with Woody Allen, and you have the chance to ask these questions then. So step by step, are there any things which are still or any questions which are still worrying you related to the test? And I see Jane Pelly over there, but the microphone is a little faster here. So we start in row number 3 and then Jane.
Okay, Anna Sirova from Russia. In our mock exam during we made... Раз. We have a question because when we made our mock exam and during normal exam, we have the next problem. Please. We have problem with our antivirus and we didn't make our exam.
How happy I am that Frank is here.
This is true in program.
Yes, we had several feedback according to the antivirus. Did you write to the FEI about this issue? And did you get an answer from our IT? No. Who else could not make the mock exam concerning or is not able to access FEI campus? You know, but it's not you. Okay.
Can I explain something? Because we have the same situation in Poland. It is the special antivirus. It is the special antivirus program, which I am using Asset, for example, and then it's coming that this is the Trojan horse, whatever happened, but you can come to your system, to the asset, you can stop it, and you say, not for the internet. And when you close it for the internet, it's coming again, and you say, out, and then you can work.
Yes, and other systems you might have to put this website on a whitelist. But these are, we cannot, from the FEI, there are so many computer systems, antiviruses out there, browsers. We try with, we have in the background, technical-wise, from the FEI campus is an open source platform, Moodle. We have updated it. It works with the new processes and includes them, but with antiviruses, if they put this system on a blacklist, it's your computer, not us. Maybe only with the microphone, because otherwise the people in the back won't hear you. I will most likely hear you.
On the laptop that had the asset, I couldn't do nothing. On another laptop where I had the Windows antivirus, it was working okay. So it's a matter of the antivirus. But
yes,
but it's not easy to stop it, because the purpose to put the antivirus is to be protected.
Personally, I think we have answered this question. Can we move on to the next question?
And I would really love to keep the structure I have introduced, that we now at the moment only talk about that you misunderstood the question or that you are not happy with any answer. So let's really concentrate on that first, and then we discuss technical problems and procedure things. At the moment, it's just questions on rules and answers to these questions. And I guess Jane is definitely now the next in line.
Okay, my question is the answer to this particular one. I have scoured the rule book and I can't find where it says the other answer is correct. The question is, the maximum height in a CSI 5-star Grand Prix is select one or more. And it's 155 if it's stated in the schedule, 170 if it's stated in the schedule, 160 if it's stated in the schedule, and 175 if it's stated in the schedule. Now, according to the rule that I found, it actually says for all CSI 5-star and CSIO 5-star events, the schedule must indicate a height of obstacles of 160 for the Grand Prix. But my answer was wrong, because it can either be 160 or 170. And I would just like clarification, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who's confused by that.
There is a rule saying that the maximum height in any FEI competition, with the exception of puissance and whatever, all these power and skill competitions, is 1.70 meters. And with this, it is 1.70 meters if it's mentioned in the rules, in the schedule. Sorry. So if you have an approved schedule and it's 1.70 meters, then it's okay, because it can be approved. And if it's 1.60 meters in your approved schedule, it's correct as well. That's why these two things are correct. I know that this answer, or this question, is a little tricky, but this is the thing with the maximum height of competitions.
Thank you very much. It was just the schedule must indicate a height of obstacles of 160 for a Grand Prix. So that's what confused me. That's in the rule book.
Yeah, and most likely we have to take that into consideration, that we say for the next time minimum of 1.60 meters, because it becomes more and more popular now that organizers are doing Grand Prix at 5-star shows which are 1.70 meters. And people, some of our colleagues, that's why I put the question in, because some of our colleagues were a little bit in a panic, because suddenly they saw there's a competition 1.70 meters, this is not allowed. Yes, it is, if it's approved, not because somebody decides during the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'm not in the stewards stuff. I'm not very happy with some wording especially for the hind boots, because it's difficult to find a description, even when I go somewhere online to find a description with some wording from the hind boots. So it makes me a little bit confusing sometimes what is allowed and what is not allowed, because there's no example, you know, like a picture or anything else.
Okay, firstly, it wasn't possible to put pictures because, as we know, this is the first year and it's all brand new. Perhaps in the future this will be a possibility, but for now it's not. I'm just looking for some of the hindboot questions. Just bear with me. Okay, just hang on. I'm looking for the questions. Just a moment.
With the different types of fixing and
yeah,
past.
I understand. I'm looking for the question. Just give me a moment, and I'll look for the question. Hang on.
Is there another rule?
I've got it, Frank. Thank you. The question is the following type of hind boots may be used at CSIJ events, and then it lists the boots. I'm not quite sure what wording is not good there, because it's all coming from the rules. And another question is the following type of fasteners are allowed on hind boots at CHI children events. And again, those are coming from the rule. Okay, they're coming from the rule. They're just, if you're a steward and you're familiar with the different types of closures for boots, you should be perfectly familiar with that terminology. And anyway, again, that's the whole point of doing the mock exams. You can do them a lot of times. I'm not even going to admit how many times I did the dressage one. It's embarrassing. But you can do the mocks as many times as possible, and from that you sort of learn which are the right answers and which are the wrong answers. But if you want to talk to me about it afterwards privately, that's fine. Okay?
May I jump here as well into, we have seen here now with the questions 2 examples where, or actually 3 examples where the rule book and the rule text is important. And this is one of the purposes we had in mind when creating the CES. It is not testing you, but it's educating you. We want you, some questions might not feel relevant for you, but it's education, and there will be moments you will be lucky that you had this in your mock exam or in your CES, because then you can relate to it. This is the whole exercise that we want to educate you.
There's a question says, the FEI will appoint a foreign judge at.
Can I stop you at that point? This is one of the questions I took out.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exactly the point. There was one question about where do we appoint foreign judges, or according to the rules, and to be honest, I was a little bit more orientated in what we do in practice, because sometimes we do not do that at the CSI, one-star CSIOs, and that slipped through my net, mea culpa, so I'm responsible for that. But you will not have any disadvantage, because this question will not show up in any of your tests. Yeah, it happens. When you do 100 questions, then I'm still happy that only 2% of my questions were wrong. Well, it happens. Yeah.
I have a question. This may be a course building question, Stefan. So I apologize for that.
How happy I am to have one of the most experienced course designers worldwide.
But anyway, it's a judge's question as well, but
Yeah.
it may come from the course building mock thingy. So the question is, for a course length of 420 meters, which of the allowed times propositions are correct?
Okay, stop.
I have stopped.
I tell you why. Because I make a general statement now on the course designer's questions without answering the questions. But in this specific case, I know where we are going to. And not to confuse other people, I stop the question. We had a few challenges with the course designing questions, because we found out that some of them were a little bit more up for interpretation than really taking a rule, or which were written in a way that they were not 100% and crystal clear. In the meantime, these questions, they haven't been changed, because otherwise we would change the system in between, but we have modified them slightly that they are clearer. So you will not see this question with the time allowed and calculation and measuring and all these things. These will be absolute crystal clear now and 100% according to the rules. And I can say now that all as a general remark, without being involved in the course designer's questions, but don't you tell any secrets here. Also, the course designer's questions are now rules related and can be answered with rules and not with opinions. And every time something comes up, is that now 5 strides long or 6 strides short? That's a question of interpretation, and you can't make a one-sentence scenario so clear that everybody gives the same answer. And as long as top course designers answer the same question in a different way, we can't ask them to level 1 course designers. Yeah, if that is answering the question. So you can be sure, if you take the course designing test, the questions now are as crystal clear as I hope the stewarding and judges questions are. If this is answering your question to a certain
Stefan, I
degree.
think this question really is the how many seconds, what the time allowed are. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and there seems to be a difference of opinion. Is that right?
Well, I've answered one of them wrong, and usually when I answer something wrong, I don't know the answer. But here, I've looked 10 times, and I still think I'm right.
Yeah, but don't answer.
No, okay.
I have to hold back here. Yes, we had issues, and I only have to repeat what Stefan said. Since last week, those issues have been cleared out.
Thank you.
We have went through all the questions and deleted questions with recommendations, etc. So again, and this applies for all the questions. If you have doubts, if you find something that is not what you want, what you expect, please note exactly the question, maybe even a screenshot, and send it us. You will get clarification on it.
And I apologize that I stopped you right in the middle of the sentence, but I just wanted to avoid confusion.
Okay. Jean-Michel from the Congo. Not any Congo, the very Democratic Republic of Congo. I had a mock question. I think it was for the stewarding, but anyway. And the question was, if a rider falls in the practice arena, he must be cleared by the medical service. True or false? I said yes, true. No, it was false. Because the rider must be checked by the medical service while the horse must be cleared. So, for me, with my Franglish, checked, cleared, it was the same. But do I understand correctly that if the horse falls before continuing competing, he must receive the permission of the veterinary delegate, while if it is the rider, the doctor must just give the report. Oh, the rider has the 2 broken legs and 2 broken arms, and you make the decision. I would like to have that clarification.
If I understand you correctly, you're asking if the horse has to be cleared by the veterinary. That your question is about the horse. Your question
No.
is about the difference.
No. No,
So your question is the horse has to be cleared, but the rider has to be checked.
yes. What is the difference?
Okay, just one moment, please. Just hang on. Jean-Michel, are you asking, do you have an issue with the answer, or do you want to know the rule, a clarification on the rule?
Listen, is it working? Yeah. Okay. I answered, the rider must be cleared by the medical service. I answered true. And my answer was not correct. The true answer was false. It must be checked, not cleared. So I don't understand what is the difference. I would like to understand.
Okay. I guess I can understand what you are asking, because this is one of the overlapping questions. This is a typical example what Frank pointed out earlier. This is not a question which was made by Francis or by myself. This is a question which came in from legal, because, as I will explain to you tomorrow, there is a rule change in the wording, because indeed to clear somebody means in English something else than to check somebody. And I assume that the legal department put that question in to check if you saw the wording, and you might think that this is pedantic, but it's not, because from the legal point, and maybe Michael will make some comments on that as well tomorrow, from the legal point it makes a huge difference if you say you clear somebody or you check somebody. And I hope that I'm not saying something else. In the old rule book it was cleared for horses and riders. For horses it's still cleared, because this is what the vets do, because they are vets and they are clearing a horse, while the medical team, who could be a doctor or could be a medical service, a paramedic, whatever they are, depending where you are, they are legally not clearing somebody, they are checking. Checking is something like that. Clearing is examining and really finding out what it is. And for legal reasons, that word has changed for the 2020 rules. And I assume that this question came in from legal, that they check that you got this rule change, if this is answering the question. That took a little longer, because we really had to find out, because we were both sure that we didn't ask the question. But now I guess that's what it is. Yeah, this is a checking of the new rules question.
And here you see again another purpose of the CES. We want you to make you familiar with the rule changes 2020. That's another purpose of the CES.
Anybody else? And I'm not trying to motivate you, because if you are all now satisfied, I'm happy. If you are speechless or even more confused, then I would be very unhappy and I would have the sleepless night instead. There is one more question from Korea.
Yes. Is it working? Yeah. Yes, I'm from Korea. Yeah, Kim number 1. I'm asking about the practice arena for ponies. For the whips, it's only for jumping practice arena. It's only 75 centimeter is allowed, but for the flat work and jumping, can pony rider use whip of 1 meter?
I will double check the rule, but I believe it that for jumping, pony riders can never use a dressage whip.
Thank you. For flat work.
I'm sorry?
Only for flat work, not jumping.
No, they can never use a dressage whip. In jumping, the pony riders can never use a dressage whip. Only the jumping whip of 75 centimeters.
Okay.
Maximum.
Okay, I do not see any more requests for clarifications, and I would be very happy with that. And then I would be even more happy to leave the stage to Frank, who might give you also a short overview of what's going to happen tomorrow. And then if there are any technical or procedure questions, Frank will be very happy to answer that.
First of all, thank you. Yes. First of all, thank you for inviting me here and giving me the chance tomorrow to explain the CES more in depth, and as well give you an outlook of what we plan and update, how we plan to update the education system for jumping officials in 21. But since I know that some of you will stay until Monday and have the pleasure to listen to me a third time on Monday, I will not go into detail of the presentation from tomorrow. For me personally, and to make tomorrow your CES assessment a success, I would like to go in some practical details. We had a lot of communication, publications prior this course here in Prague, and to make it crystal clear, and I will do that tomorrow and on Monday again, education also means repetition, is we have put the officials in two groups. We have the group A and we have the group B. So group A are the ones, and this is now will also change by 21. We are in a transition period. We have included not the last 3 years now for the transition, we've included the years 19, 18 and 17. If you have been to a refresher seminar without assessment in the last 3 years, you are in group A. All other officials that have been before 17, 16 and older or never, we have those as well, they are, yes, and this is always, you smile, but this is always, you sit here, you are the ones going regularly to refreshers, but we have officials that don't do that, and those we have put in group B, and these officials we give 2020 the opportunity to do an in-person maintenance course with assessment, and if they don't, they will be not allowed to officiate anymore. To clean up the list of the people that either are not interested or not, they don't want to be evaluated. For here in Prague, and this is also the big change what we had with the removal of the age limit, is that we changed the refresher system. In the past, we had refreshers with seminars. You came there, you were on the attendance list, and that was enough. The working group for officials recommended to have, instead of an age limit, a competency-based evaluation. And that's why from the 1st of January onwards this year, we have only refresher courses with assessments. That are now coming to Group A. Nobody in Group A is forced to do the assessment here in Prague. If you want, and I would recommend, if you have done the mock exam enough, to attend, to really take the assessment, because then it will prolong your cycle, you will start your cycle new. Because we have now introduced a cycle, a 3-year cycle. If you do the assessment here in Prague, you will not have to go to an in-person course in 21 and 22. You can still go to an in-person course, because if you go in 21 again to an in-person course, to the next General Assembly, you then restart the cycle again. But maybe next year it happens that you might be ill and cannot attend the assembly, so you're on the safe side. That's why we recommend you to take the assessment if you are prepared. That's if you are prepared. Group B people do have to take the assessment if they want to continue officiating. And that concludes it. The FEI forces nobody to take the assessment, only officials that want to officiate, because we also have a commitment towards the sport and towards the athlete to be updated with our rule knowledge. And now the practical part for tomorrow, and I will repeat that tomorrow again. The mock exam is in chapter 2. You have seen on the side the 2. Tomorrow, the exam will be open for everybody that has notified Theodore and was in Group B, that they can enter chapter 3 and take the assessment. Now, there are questions, practical questions, and in any order.
Thank you, Frank, for your clarification, and Francis also for yours that was posted on Facebook. And I find myself kind of caught in a conundrum because I didn't have this information until Wednesday. I was on the plane on Tuesday. There's a little apprehension about these exams, as I'm sure everybody can understand. So I did those mock exams, and I did the online assessment in my quiet office on Saturday, and I was successful. And I thought, oh, I've done it. Now I can go and be part of the refresher and be a little bit relaxed. And now I find that this refresher will not count in full, according to how I'm interpreting this. And I feel that it's a little unfair. Also, I don't think, and I could be wrong on this, Eric, you can maybe help me. There was a refresher in North America last weekend, and I do not think they did the assessment at that. Oh, you did it online?
They did.
Okay. So where does that leave me? Do I do it again? Do I have to do it again in order to have credit for this large financial outlay of coming to Europe?
The answer is you do not have to do it again because you are able to continue officiating after March because being in Group A. And now the second answer to your question, considering the amount of money you spent, and if you want to have credit for it, you will have to do it again.
Thank you. That's how I read it. That's how it reads. So that was well done. I wish we had had that information a tiny bit earlier. There I must apologize. We have, from the FEI, the system, now I have to got a little bit history also personally with me. I have the pleasure to be with the FEI for a year now. In the first 2 weeks, I had the pleasure to meet the president, Ingmar de Vos, and he said, your first and utmost priority for 2019 is to develop this system. So the system, so that gave me a year to develop the system harmonized throughout all disciplines. The first half of the year went into planning and getting it approved by the FEI board. The system was approved in the spring meeting in June 2019 by the FEI board. Then I will show you this timeline tomorrow as well. Then it took the departments and the experts until September to draft the questions. Knowing the FEI and knowing our communication department, and everybody was busy in summer with the championships and events, we went out to all officials and the national federations with a communication in the beginning of October to notify that new system. At the same time, we have posted on FEI Inside an information page concerning the CES. That's where we went first public. Any news last year, that system was not existing yet. So the first head-on was in October for this system, and that was the earliest after the development we could go out. The next step was then that we informed the national federations again at the General Assembly in Moscow. We have been in close contact with the International Jumping Officials Club and as well as the other stakeholder clubs. We have tried to answer the questions of the club. I personally was together with Theodore in Moscow, where we drafted an information letter to to you, members of the International Jumping Officials Club. Yes, we have tried a lot, and from the questions and feedback we get, we will continue trying to inform you and keep you updated. Is that hopefully answering the question?
Yes, thank you very much, and I appreciate the ongoing procedures, and I appreciate the program. And now I need to ask on my own behalf, because I didn't realize the full implications when I answered Theodore's question. May I take the exam again? Because I had said no, I'd already taken it, so I didn't know I needed to do it again.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for this question. Thank you for this question. And there, I want to come back to Willem. He has passed the attendance list, and there's indicated who is taking the assessment and who is not taking the assessment. This is very important that you update this tonight, and even if you talk to anybody who has not updated it tomorrow morning, this is the advantage of me being here with you. I can change you, and I can put you on the assessment tomorrow. Yes, that is possible.
Hi, Cindy Jarrett from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. With regard to the assessment, I'm in Group A, as I attended a refresher last January and again a year before that. And I tried a few days ago to do the mock exams. I was allowed to do that. And then I shut the computer, tried it again, could not access the mock exams again, nor could I do the A assessment online. It kept referring me to the idea that I have to write on Saturday. So there was no way for me to write my A assessment, nor to continue with the mock exams. So I found a way yesterday to go back into my history and do that. But silly me, I erased it last night. I tried again this morning, and I can't do any more mock exams.
We will solve these problems afterwards. You will be able to do more mock exams, hopefully not through the night, because then you're not fresh for tomorrow. But we will. This is the technical issues, and this is where I must quote Stefan again. We are thankful for feedback, and we know that especially with the mock exam and how to access the mock exam and to make it bulletproof, that you are not by chance going into the real thing, that we have to learn. Here we are, and this is not an excuse, but we are at the moment limited by the open source Moodle. And this is development we will do over 2020 for the 21 assessment. And your problem we will try to solve afterwards, personally.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm Sharon Trube from RSA. Just quickly, I've found that if I access the campus through the campus ID, it didn't give me the mocks, but if I went in with my FEI ID, it did. So there was obviously some confusion there, because accessing with the one didn't offer me the course, but accessing the other one did, so it's worth trying both.
Yes. Very correct, the system works. It doesn't help us if you try to assess as a more or less visitor. We need your FEI ID because then it corresponds with the database. Otherwise, it's not you. It could be like each official has an FEI ID, and with this FEI ID, you have to go into FEI Campus. We tried to communicate that as well. And we actually have gone through the process to merge some officials went to the FEI Campus before, not with the ID, but with their own email address. We have tried to merge those two profiles in autumn.
Vitas Poznanskis, Lithuania. First of all, I want to express my solidarity with the judge from Canada because I was under the same problem. Big portion of adrenaline, I was successful at home, and just the last day I did recognize that it's not enough to pass this seminar with all accreditation, and I called to Mr. Shaitanov, and okay, I will take another opportunity, and it's okay, let's forget. But my question is concerning, I have two specialities. I'm also course designer, and I was visiting our seminars almost everywhere, almost every year, and I was pretty sure that it's enough to keep on the level this baggage and in course designers work. And suddenly you know that you are in group B because you have not passed special seminars for course designers, and I checked all the year, no one seminar for third level course designers, so it's stop with career and go down, or what?
Concerning the course design, I would like to, you are with us tomorrow, I am sure, and Santiago is with us tomorrow as well. I've already seen him today, so he's here. I would like you to ask the same question tomorrow again. And we are now in beginning of 2020, still in the first month, and I'm quite positive that if there is a need of a course designer course with CES-ment, with CES assessment in 2020, we will be able to organize one.
Yeah, but anyway, according to that new rule, category B group has to pass this course and exam till the March. B group. No.
Group B, because exactly of this reason, has until the 15th of December 2020 to go to and can officiate until the 15th of December, because, and that was exactly the reason we could not guarantee that every official can go to courses in the first 3 months. Online, it's always possible, because 3.5 months for the online assessment is possible. For the in-person course, you have time until the 15th of December 2020.
Yeah, that sounds better, but as I said before, I checked, and it's no course for level 3 course designers.
But this no course, please mention that again tomorrow in
Okay,
the
I
course
will.
designer session.
Thanks a lot.
Sharon? Can I? Okay, Ali Küçük from Turkey. First of all, many thanks. That was very good presentation, Frank. Thank you very much. And I know that your job is not easy at all. So we appreciate what you're doing, and please continue to do what you're doing. About this assessment issue, I just want to ask a radical question. Personally, I believe that it's in the right way. And we need to have this assessment system, that's for sure. However, how to do this correctly or the right planning, in my view, from what I listened to the people in this room, might be still more revised or can be still developed. So would it ever be possible that we, because we are the right people in this room that are directly affected by whichever is the rule applied or issued by the FEI, and we as the stakeholders are now having the chance to talk to you or ask our requests. So my question is, can we not extend the start of this system at least for 1 more year so that everything is right, the information given to the stakeholders, to the national federations and the judges are correct, and we all know what is coming next? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I've been asked this question as well, and we have their issues, especially the retired judges or the judges that are about to retire, they would fall out of the system. So we had a transition period in 2019 where the age was extended, but it's out. We have the general regulations have been updated in Moscow, so we have no age limit anymore. Therefore, we have this system, and to be honest with you, if we would postpone it in 21, we would have the same issues. We would still, and there I invite the club and invite also individuals, if you have issues, please notify us in writing. We will evaluate the system after the period of March to improve it for 21. It's the first step, and you will see that in the presentation tomorrow as well. It is the first step, and you have to understand, you are here doing tomorrow the official for assessment for jumping judges. We have in the FEI 8 disciplines plus the veterinarians. They all run after the same system now in the FEI. They all have the 3-year cycle now. We have harmonized all officials with the maintenance requirements, and that is a great achievement, and we do not want to stop this process at the moment.
Can I ask Valterna, GB? There are some of us that have taken the exam before we came. I mean, I have to say I did get frozen out of the first one. I went into the proper one and it chucked me out, and then I had to wait 10 days for my second attempt. But why are we at a disadvantage? Because we have come here, we have our certificates, but we, as I understand, are not going to be as qualified or as those that are actually taking the exam here.
I've been asked that question also quite often. And now I've been an official myself. And I've been also asked already in the past, and I've helped a lot of officials doing assessments. If you do the online assessment, we really believe in the integrity of our officials, but there are some doubts. And that's why the departments insisted that at least every 3 years we have to make sure that the person him or herself takes the assessment. It's not a group taking one assessment together. That's one person taking the assessment. And that's the only reason why we do it at an in-person course. And as I pointed out before to the lady from Canada, Group A people do not have to do this assessment here. But if they don't restart the cycle. Because at least every 3 years, they have to take it in front of a course director.
Frank, last year the system for application for hosting courses was changed. The national federations, they have to apply for hosting a course before 1st of July the year before. Are you going to allow this year the national federations to host courses and to apply during the year? Because we will have a lot of Group B officials who will not have the possibility to visit courses.
First of all, I hope that was leading over to other questions. No, I'm happy to answer this. For national federations, because I know that a lot of people here in the room also work very closely together with national federations. We have changed the system for applications. This is correct, that courses in all disciplines now have to apply the year before until the 31st of March to avoid, like we have Marek under us. Driving is a very good example. They managed to get, they have 3 courses in a year and they managed to get it on the same weekend. To avoid this, to spread them a little bit and to also maybe from the department in a later stage have regional planning behind it, we moved this application forward. And yes, and there I a little bit jump over my competencies as a director of education and officials. Course application and course approval is done by the department. So, but I'm quite sure the jumping department is in favor of, if for example the course designers. If we don't have a course designer course 2020, we certainly will approve one. Yep. To answer this question.
Sorry, I'm Di Baxter from South Africa. Just one quick question, and I'm not sure if I'm addressing the correct people. The English proficiency. There seems to be quite a lot of confusion as to who has to take it. I know I received an email as a level 3 judge. Jean-Michel didn't. Another judge in South Africa did. And there's rumors that there's level 2s have to do it, level 1s, and then only people that are not efficient in English, which I wouldn't have thought I was one of them. But so there's a lot of rumors.
Yes. I gather we are away from the CES because the English proficiency assessment is not in connection with the CES. It's part of the competency, you will see tomorrow, but it's not in the CES. Who did receive in the beginning of January an invitation to take the assessment? The top level officials. Top level in jumping are level 4 judges, level 4 course designer, level 3 stewards. And therefore, the one, maybe you are level 3 judge and level 3 steward, and that's why you got it. Yep?
Yeah. Faima Sebian from Algeria. Sorry.
Yeah.
From Algeria. I have a question on the behalf of my colleagues, in Algeria. Why are the assessments why are not held in French language? In other ways, is it possible to have the CES assessment, during, for instance, a refresher in French or with a translator?
No. I can go in, maybe I explain it to you in personally later on why not, but the answer is no. And now I lead over to Willem, maybe.
This one. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to thank the panel here. Mr. Ellenbroek, the chair of the jumping committee, to be more formal. Francis Escajon Triolzi. John Doney. Yes. It's some people only help with their presence, John, so that's important. And of course, Mr. Frank Spadinger, we invited him already in Amsterdam, but it was, I think, 1 week or 2 weeks after your appointment. So that was a little bit too early, but I'm very happy that you're now with us. What I learned from the presentations is that we are going into the world of permanent education. So if you have education, it should be refreshed every 3 years with a real exam, and you have the opportunity to do the online assessment the other years. So the mock exam, my experience is that it's also about learning, because you can do it, you can have your rule book with you, and you can look up the right answers, and then for sure it's not a big challenge to get 80%. I'm also happy what Frank said, that this system is not cast in concrete. I don't know if it's a real English wording, yes? Okay. So there will be evaluations, and we will see, and I'm very happy with the invitation to work on that or help with that. And one of the things I wanted to address before we go to the, you can go to the hotel to get dressed for the reception for the Czech Federation, which is offered to us. But you don't have to. So we're happy if you just stay here, because the reception starts at 6 o'clock, and then it's right here in the corridor. But I was a little bit triggered by something Fel told us, to have two kinds of officials. And it's not like in animal farm, all officials are equal, some officials are more equal. If you pass the exam, the online, you're an official. If you pass the in-person, you're an official. You're always a full official, regardless if you're in Group A or in Group B. So I want to end with that. Okay, then the Czech Federation, National Federation, is offering us a reception, and it will be where we also had a coffee. Thank you all, and have a nice evening, and we'll see you all tomorrow again.